What's up, everybody? This Big Jonas here in the house, coming to you guys live Tuesday, January 21st. Thank you so much for joining me today on this cold January day. Maybe not that cold where depending on where you are across the country, across the world. And of course, Bitcoin has no boundaries, is a token, is a blockchain, is an asset of the planet for you and for me to trade and invest in. We have about an hour and 24 minutes till the daily candle closes. I wanted to look at this current 12-hour. Look at the past 12-hour candles here. We're clearly finding a consolidation. Look at these lower wicks. We get a bunch of lower wicks every time Bitcoin dips its toe. $8,500 area. There are buyers that continue to step in. We're still finding that range resistance. We can seriously look at this as just still dead sideways from our parallel channel perspective. Over the past couple days until something more meaningful from a closing candle. And I'll just say 12-hour would be a good way to start, to get a closing candle either above, $8,800. I probably would now, because we have our defined upper wick so far. And then basically if we start closing dailies, I think I'd go actually more like here. If we start putting a closing candle above 87.50, that'd be a very interesting sign for the bulls. And then, on the bearish side, if we start closing below the 85.50s area, after finding pretty strong buying pressure when we continue to dip here, that would be definitely notable for the bears to take notice there, because we would be potentially testing a failed current hold and support of this horizontal resistance, right? Oh, Tone, you're killing me. That now is currently acting as support, as we see the bounce is still holding. And this is 3 tests we've had to break this area of notable resistance, holding as support. And that definitely is notable for the bulls here, okay, as we are still, volume's not terrible, but we're definitely been declining ever since we had our climax candles a couple days ago, really like a week ago, actually. This is a notable rejection candle, but doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the end of the overall trend. We do know that this daily candle, though, did cross and get that initial rejection of our MA200. When that happened, we can see a couple times. I want to ignore this because, of course, we were above it for several days. Of course, we were resisted of it for several days as well. But I think what's more meaningful of the 200 is not this particular price action, but what happened back in 2018. And that I remember very clearly Bitcoin attempting to break it numerous times before you can just see how weak this market was here, where every bullish attempt there on after began to get not even close, farther and farther and farther away there. So we see this continuing to play out just on our current 2020, 2019, 2020 price action here. There's been a lot of talk on Twitter, crypto Twitter, and some of the YouTube people I watch and channels about, we're doing the same thing that we did back here. And yes, there are lots of similarities. The resistances of our moving averages, the overall shape of the pattern, lower highs and, kind of lower lows, or at least an area of a stable base. We did something of a little inverse head and shoulder here, and we did something of an inverse head and shoulder here. Both produce a nice bullish impulsive move of Bitcoin price action, right? And then we know what happened last time. We came all the way back down to the beginning. So are we going to do the exact same thing where we get up here, we get that MA200 rejection, which clearly stopped our bullish progression the last time there. I'll make you purple. And once again, are we playing the same thing out? Is it that obvious that this is what's happening here? Inverse head and shoulder, a lot of bullish looking candles here. I mean, I remember this happened in July of 18. We were basically We had this kind of I remember this, rising wedge turned out to be a leading wave one. We had our pullback here, which, as I recall, went to the 786. No, that was golden pocket. Yeah, a little under the golden pocket there, and then we ripped it there for a very clean. What was this one? Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. There we go. Longer 2, shorter 4. There was our 5. Up we went. And then on the retrace, we ended up, literally, where were we there? Right there, coming all the way back to, it's funny, this was going to be like a lower low, and it never actually did. We went even below the 84, probably to like the 95 almost. Still hold that higher low, and then that another retest did basically fail us out. And every time we kept on doing that, right, it wasn't just the Fibonacci we were watching on the upside, but it was always this back test that brought us, somewhere close to the golden pocket area numerous times. So the 200 was resistance. We had a couple breaks of the 50 and the 100 before they both became resistance. We fast forward to today. The 200 is resistance. The 100 and the 50 are still support. Remember, we are still above our 50 and our 100. We did have several times where we were above both of them, notably the same fractal that we're referring to here, right? Where we were above both the 50 and the 100. Kind of similar pattern there. And then we had a kind of a dip, and then we had a little bit of a nice bounce here, a couple tweezers. We see this on the daily, 77 back to 82. It was a good move there, about 600 down, 500 up. And then we fell rather quickly there. So everything is still in this area, and we're still doing one of these, okay, with more or less a similar volume structure. So there's a narrative for both at play here. There's something that says, okay, wait a minute, we did that last time. We're not going to do it again this time. We're saying that this isn't necessarily the same structure. This was kind of more of a, descending triangle pattern. This is still more of a channel. It could be a falling wedge. It could also be. I think we're kind of past the bull flag stage. We're kind of past the bull flag stage. I guess if really we break out here, then yes, it definitely could be a massive bull flag because of this massive flagpole. That still is the most bullish case possibility here. Actually, I do something like that. Which would clearly take us to something like that, a full beam reach extension. Shit, we might even do a 1-to-1, something like that, and then where's the 1-to-1? 16.8. That's like the bullish, situation there. Maybe it's a 1-to-1, or maybe we're able to get this into a more meaningful. Larger pattern where we're just beginning the wave 3, which has a ways to go, and it would take us through most of the rest of 2020 here. Of course, as we approach the halvening. Remember, the halvening, guys, counting down, we're getting close to almost 100 days away. It is something around right there. Okay, we are here. Historically speaking, 2 things happened in the previous 2 halvenings. Can anybody name them? Okay, the first was that Bitcoin, though in an uptrend approaching the halvening, did have a steep drop, potentially 30 to 40% before the halvening, as I recall. And 2, would recover within a continuation of an uptrend into the halvening, followed by a little bit of dump, but more or less consolidation, tight, and then a very large and notable bullish explosion of Bitcoin price action. So there's lots of narratives that we can deduce from the shape of the chart, But something very unique that's happened, especially with Bitcoin, is that it does have a halvening every 4 years, and we are only 100 days or so away from that momentous event. 63 of my closest friends watching me today on this live Big Jonas Bitcoin update. Let's hit that thumbs up button, people. Give me a shout out. I want to see who's in the chat room. CY, Red Fusion, Andre, SS Swartz, 88. Always count on you, buddy. Crypto House, what's up, my friend? L1Am44 Connor. Mahmood Rafiq, what's going on, buddy? Hey, August 88. Definitely feel free to say a hello there. And definitely hit that thumbs up button. Also hit that subscribe button so you guys can know when I'm doing these live shows. As I said earlier in the year, or as we closed out 2019, I did want to do more of these live shows because I think 2020 will be a very momentous experience. From a personal standpoint, got some stuff happening that I'm looking forward to finalizing over the next couple weeks. And that will definitely allow me to free me up for a bunch of things. Definitely want to get more active in trading, more so than I've been recently. Kind of share my more or less some of my day trades as well. And just see where, because I think when you combine the narrative of the halvening and where the price action is, the fact that there's a lot of people that I follow. I don't follow a lot of people at all. I follow about 150 or so on Twitter. But of those people, there are several that I respect their thoughts and opinions. And it's definitely interesting to see not everybody's on the same page. There's a lot of people that I respect that think this is very bullish price action from a technical and fundamental standpoint. And then there are people that I respect that are still on the consensus that this is just a bullish. Sorry, this is just a bearish downtrend channel that we are still inside, and because there's no real feasible new money coming into the price action of Bitcoin, is this just another play out of the 2018 fractal? We can look at this from many perspectives. We can use our oscillators to say, are we doing the similar RSI pattern? Okay, where we had this top off level. This was our 2017. We got, where are we here? Let's make this a little bigger. Okay, we literally got to 98. Okay, on the RSI, the daily RSI at the Bitcoin 20K. We had these 4 peaks, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth one here put a double top in, again, 93. Again, daily RSI. And this is when the price was at $14,000. And then ever since then, we've basically been under that. I changed my RSI to 80-20 instead of 70-30. It makes me a little more conservative in my trades, and it gives more meaning to a break of an 80 on the upside and of a 20 on the downside, because that 20 on the downside was around Bitcoin, $3,500 right there, which was near enough to the bottoming area, even though it was that higher low in the RSI and that lower low in price action that actually quantified the hidden bullish divergence there and made us see that, wow, we were actually setting up for a nice run. So what do we see here? Well, we see similarities in our CMF, our chalk and money flow. There's our up thrust there. We're still in an up thrust here. Okay, we see our RSI still hovering around a very bullish daily 63, 64. Okay, yeah, we do see our Stochh coming down after a double top here. And actually, I want to talk a little bit about our squeeze momentum, because we finally have some negative histos beginning to show up here on our daily. The past couple times our squeeze momentum put in a histogram, you can see this very tight spire here. Almost looks kind of like the Burj Khalifa a little bit. And this is a smaller one. And this is kind of a little lumpier one. And then this one here was a little bit of a stronger one, but didn't get us, got higher. Okay. And now you see what we're doing here. Once we start putting in these notable bearish retracements, okay, this has pretty much marked the top. Okay, and we have a clear peak that has now formed on the histo right here. Here is our peak. And we have to agree that every time we put in a defined peak on our previous bullish mountains going through all of 2019 and into 2020, it has marked the top. Now, obviously, there's been a couple dip and rips along the way, a couple pumps, here and there. We don't fall quickly except for a couple times there. Okay. So you can't ignore the fact that we have clearly put in a peak here of our mountain. We were able to put in a higher high here, and potentially we've set up some sort of a pattern moving here. These aren't always basically trend lines here. As you can see, they don't really hold up more than one or two. But the overall does exist that if we get another extender in the future, you could anticipate something like this, and then maybe some bear, and then the next bullish price action mountain we get, you would assume could go as high as here before coming back down and putting in that low, higher, high, higher high, and then a higher high, and keeping those mountains continuation there. But for now, this looks like it's a bearish completion of a mountain peak, and we would be heading back down. Funding still, longs are paying to hold their longs. Okay. This can be derived as two things. It doesn't necessarily have to be bearish, as you have, it just costs more to long because the longs look like they're the better play right now. It just costs long, to do a money line or of a favored team. Because they're the favorite. You got to pay more. You don't win as much if you bet them, straight up. That's why you get the points to kind of level it out. This is kind of the points here. So right now, longs are paying to hold, and shorts are being paid to short, and that generally means downward price action is potential. I'm gonna leave that one until next time, I think. Listen, the talk of money flow, it's looking pretty good. We do have this lower high here. But for those that don't know, the CMF is a great barometer of actual money flow coming into the market. And it can give you bullish divergence, it can give you bearish divergence, but it can also tell you if we actually have real money coming in and not just a whole bunch of wash trading. And this is still looking pretty good. We do have a downtrend though. Obviously this is our high, it's our lower high, and as you can see, where we happen to be resisting right here is literally where we found this diagonal resistance the last two times. So getting above this would be notable. Otherwise, it is assumed that we are, well, actually, if you kind of look at it like this, again, we're still in the day. We still have an hour left in the day, but we are poking our head for sure above that chalk and money flow diagonal resistance, which is notable. We do have a horizontal resistance here and here that could bring us up just a little higher. So I would want to wait to see how we get it. We're at 0.26. Let's see what 0.27 looks like. And if we start trending above that, then that'll be a very bullish sign that we get some money flowing and continuing to flow. Which is definitely something cool. What's up, Mr. Ether? What's up, Funky Bad Chad? What's up, Brian March? Appreciate that. What's up, Coin Grinder? What's up, Quant Rings? What's up, Brad Anderson? Appreciate that, buddy. What's up, DA Only TW? What's up, Robert? What's up, Adal Adla? What's up, Banditas? What's up, Dark Tiga? What's up, Club Sandwich? Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. So I'm gonna go a little bit longer here. I wanted to keep this one kind of on the shorter side. I did want to talk about today's price action. Um, so when Bitcoin is ranging sideways, the very first thing I like to do to determine how I trade this is I go to my Bollinger Bands and I just look at the hourly chart. And what I like to trade is for a time, at least, when the Bollingers are dead sideways and you get a very tight channel of our hourly Bollingers. A break of the lower can be a longing opportunity, and a break of the upper can be a shorting opportunity. And so far, that has played out here once again. We had our break of our lower, which was a buy, 8,500. We had a break of our upper up to 8,700, which was a short. We had a couple breaks here. They were really tight, and we didn't really do much. And again, we were getting very tight here in our overall Bollingers. So you knew something bigger was coming. You knew there was more volatility on the way. And what we had here was a classic dip and rip, where the price basically dips to a lower low. Was this even? I mean, again, it's just on specific exchanges. We got to 8465. 8465. Wow, double to the penny, double bottom. And we ripped from 84.50 to 87.50. And of course, when we got above the upper Bollinger, again, still not sure yet, but a short in this area on the upper Bollinger break would have been more of an interesting play to trade than buying into this after it had already pumped a couple $100. Remember, the good money in this particular move was anything from 85 to $8,700 there. That was the quick and easy $200 there. Anything above that from a long standpoint is just playing with fire. Frankly, at this point here, you'd rather be in a short above the upper Bollinger on the hourly chart than still holding your long, because you've lost the momentum. The momentum, like this particular trade here, this took a few days almost to play out. This was a crappy trade here. It was only like $100 per Bitcoin. This was a better one because you had liquidity on the breakdown, and then you had the quickness of this move that allows you to do the scalp and to get out with a decent amount of profit. Couple $100 per Bitcoin leverage would have been a good trade there with leverage, and that would have allowed you to then basically wait for the next setup. Now I don't know what's going to happen next here. We've now swept the low range, we've swept the high range, and now we're basically back in the range. Okay, so even with this little dip and rip, nothing has really changed ever since we had just this breakdown here. Dead sideways, little lower, little higher, dead sideways. Literally nothing has happened. We have a 4-hour that is looking better, right? But middle Bollinger resistance right now, we can see where we're hitting there. Same with the 6-hour. Still, we're dead sideways here. Lower Bollinger on the 6 support, middle BB resistance. 12-hour. See, this is tricky because we have this really nice support on the 12-hour middle Bollinger, but we have hit it so many times here that if we get a close below this middle Bollinger, I think a lower BB target is definitely in play. But as we continue to hold middle Bollinger as support, then as you can see, the upper BB is slowly coming down. Just, I don't know, a U-shaped pattern here. It just doesn't feel right yet. I still think we do a little more chop sideways. I gotta be honest with you, I really do. And then overall, the daily here, because we're just stuck in the middle here. We haven't even begun to test our middle Bollinger. That's at $8,200 and rising. Upper Bollinger is at 93. Okay, that would definitely be one more bullish target. Okay, and that would potentially complete this as a more of a 5-wave structure. Potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 would put us somewhere around there. I think 5 will be shorter and just go a little bit above 3 because of how long 3 was. Remember 3 for now hit almost a 1786, almost a 2 to 1 to 1. Okay, that's pretty extended there. And 1 to 2 was actually pretty long. That was a good week, 23rd to the 3rd. It's like 10 days. That's long. So 3 to 4, I expect to be short, and this could be 4. We could have 4 already in, somewhere in this area here. 3, 4, or 5, pretty much half the time that 1 to 2 took. And then I expect 5 to be somewhat truncated because of how long 3 was. And if this is the case, we could be looking at, maybe 9,300 to the 382. Maybe we can reach to the golden pocket, $9,800, somewhere in this range here. Just get below 10K. Just keep the lower high, from a wick standpoint, right? Maybe there's a wick up here, or maybe we even get some upper closes above these candles here. Really, we got to close a daily candle above right there. That was our last daily closing high, $9,500. So these are like, okay, there's a bullish scenario here for sure that we can definitely play out. Middle Bollinger's holding, the uptrend's intact. The volume's been decent. We can go to a higher time frame. The 3-day is interesting. We basically are seeing that rejection on the 3-day. We still have another day left. Actually, we do close this out in an hour. I take that back. Looks like we close it out. Yeah, we close it out in an hour, I think. Still very tight here. But we are rolling over on our Stoke. Remember, I talked about this a couple times, previous shows. We don't stay up here too long on our 3-day Stoke. And more or less, when we do have that rollover, it begins somewhat of a downtrend. We do have a resistance in this area, which is our 63 and a quarter. We're at 62 and a quarter, and we are definitely seeing that show up now. That deflection on the 3-day RSI, and we do have a double top here on our 3-day chalk and money flow, an area which we've had resistance be previously. So my point through all this, people, is that there's a narrative that you can go basically both ways. I can show you a bullish scenario here where we're just doing a little consolidation after a lot of bullishness. I can show you a bearish scenario where we've, rejected. We rejected our MA200. We are still in a bearish cross of our EMA 12, EMA 26. We never crossed like this, though, bullishly in the bear market of 2018. Once we crossed bearishly here, didn't get close. Let me do this, you can see it better. Didn't get close, didn't get close, close, no cigar, close, close, until we crossed bullishly right here. Okay, EMA 12, EMA 26, 3-day chart. This is our first bullish cross since our bear cross back here. We had many failed attempts that could not get through, could not get through, could not get through, and then there was our spread. Now here, this was our bearish cross, right? First attempt, could not get through. Okay, so we're doing something similar here. We're daisy chaining, but look at this. Look at this. We have crossed here. Okay, it's not confirmed yet. We still got to close it out, but this looks like it's going to close at least one candle in a 3-day bullish cross. Now, the one thing I don't like about this is how we went from extremely oversold from a spread standpoint to the cross on the first attempt. This is bullish, but I would actually expect something of a slight rollover to allow these to just kind of come together closer, lose some of the momentum here. And then if this is really truly bullish, then as a pair, begin to separate bullishly on an uptrend like we saw here and like we saw back in 2017 and whatnot. So this is an interesting bullish sign here, something that we didn't get back in 2018 on our 3-day EMA 12, EMA 26 EMAs I like to use. We are still in a bullish EMA, okay, cross here from our daily. Remember, if you went long when this crossed on January 6th, you know, $7,600 there, you know, that was a good trade. The bull cross, we're still in a bull cross. We're wide. Look how wide we are here. We normally don't get this far apart from a bearish standpoint, right? Or from a bullish standpoint, right? So we have to keep that in mind. This is how normally, from a bearish standpoint, we get across, you know, really bearish. So we have to keep that. Really bearish, really bullish. We don't get this spread, right? You know, extreme bull, kind of bearish, kind of bearish, kind of bullish. Daily chart, you know, look how far we were up here. Look how far. Okay. Two bearish, two bullish, two bearish, two bullish, two bearish, two bullish. Two bearish right here. You know, not ready yet. A little fake out. Now here's what I'm saying about the fake out. We can get a fake out. Okay, this was a fake out. The initial cross here was the fake out on the daily. It was the second one that was confirmed and held. And as long as you held it through there, this was a great uptrend to hold through. So we're still in the cross here, but we can see the spread tends to signal a reversion back to the previous, which is a bearish signal there. Let's look at the TDs. What we got here? Okay, I'll do 5 more minutes. So daily, a whole bunch of nothing here. Got as high as an 8. This became a 1. So yeah, we got pretty close to a complete account there on the daily. 12 hour. I bet you these lower counts are just nothing because we went so sideways for such a long time. Yeah, there's nothing good there. Let me look at the 3-day. We're on a 7 on the 3-day. We're kind of hold that. It looks like the 8 will be a 1, potentially a red 1. And the weekly says we are still a green 3 above a green 2. So weekly TD count still says Bitcoin's bullish. Absolutely. If we close out the week with a green 3 above a green 2, that is still a bullish count according to the sequential here. Now we can still close this at green 3, but closing below 86.90 would negate the green 3 because it would be below a green 2, and that would really not give the best bullish signal yet. You know, still a couple days left. Oh, a couple days into the week, right? You know, I like doing channels with the RSI. Sure, we're definitely out of the channel. You know, we're definitely rising here. The thing is, though, are we rising too high in our RSI, you know, compared to our price action? It's tough to say. You know, we still have running room to go higher here on our squeeze momentum histo on the weekly. You can see this is actually setting up for a bullish weekly mountain to be built on here. But as you can see, we did something similar like this where we kind of were growing and it appeared like we were kind of get our mountain peak, and then we ended up stalling out somewhere around kind of where we are now, and then we actually put in another big dip before we really started to rise up here. So this potentially, if this is going to play out similar, we're still in here. Here is here, and that would mean we have, a little more uptrend potentially, and then a capitulation event still potentially on the horizon later on in the year in this potential alley here. So higher time frames are actually still looking pretty bullish. You can't argue with that. This current weekly chart here looks like we may have even had our low of the week potentially is already in. It's a bigger possibility. We tested here numerous times. We bounced up. We still have running room here. Now, we are still, again, just using wick to wick, we basically bounced down to the 50. We're still below our golden ratio, which currently is our top resistance here. We can also look at our fib from just the overall market here. Current swing high, current swing low. We still have running room to get to the 236. Sorry, the 382, which is at 92.75. And I would literally look for resistance if we got it up there. We can get that as high as up there. This is still our path to bullish victory. Okay, as long as we hold above $8,200, this can be the path to getting back to the highs of 2019 for sure. And one last fib I like to share, obviously, is this grand fib, basically talking about how our base camp at 236 is holding again, and still the 382 on the grand fib is up to 84.50, and this would be a much more meaningful resistance, in my opinion, because it would quantify a back test of this area, which has held support here, right? Our crazy China pump held support for just a week there and then failed to hold support, and then back testing it once again. Closing above 94.50 opens up a whole new journey, of course. Listen, obviously this inverse head and shoulders here on the lower time frame brought us to where we currently are, but there is definitely, keep this in mind, the other chance of a more meaningful bottoming pattern of a more larger inverse head and shoulders that would take months to play out and would be much more of a meaningful bottoming situation if this were to happen. And that would still bring running room for Bitcoin up to as high as the double top here before coming back down, setting in a higher low and something around the 8K range, and then going into much more of a meaningful bullish uptrend here. The bottoming of here, however you want to quantify it, an ascending triangle or a, cup and handle, Adam and Eve, whatever you want to say. This took the time it took to do this after the capitulation. Was this our capitulation move here? Just this pump and dump? Doesn't feel like it yet. But the narrative of the halving definitely changes this a little bit. I don't think that we can compare these two markets here. I really don't. I can't think we're kind of just go back to, mid sixes a few more times like this, right? Dump back to the mid threes and then repeat this all over again. That just feels too weird. It just feels too weird. I don't think we're going to do anything like that. If we're really going to do something meaningful, we're basically in some sort of a trend here. Okay, like this, the boot kick out is your bullish scenario, or a much more meaningful bearish one is that we do this a few more times and capitulate and go, lower here because of the liquidity gaps we still have here in these areas that really haven't been tested yet. And as our volume, which is still very important, continues to decline, we can feel good about these two twin peaks here of price action the past couple weeks for sure. But even in these bear markets, we can do that. every once in a while. I mean, look at that. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row back here in 2018 of bullish price action. 5 weeks in a row, and we ended up putting in a lower low. 5 weeks later. So now we're on our third week trying to put in bullish price action, and we got a ways to go. We can still go higher before we go lower. And then in terms of like this thing here, this let's go to log. Okay, I don't care. I mean, I really don't care about this if we're outside of it, if we're inside of it. Technically, I actually think we are outside of it by now. We closed kind of on it. We back tested it, kind of. Now we're above it, kind of. Okay, is that meaningful? Yes, but I don't see it as we can't then just, eventually come back into it. It doesn't mean that we can't not come back into it, even though we broke the channel from this standpoint. Until we put in a meaningful closing weekly candle above $9,500, which would set a different tone and put in the first weekly higher high from the previous swing high, then we'd have more of a meaningful move. Until then, Bitcoin can still go a little higher and still put in the lower highs and still keep the downtrend intact. And people that are waiting for something like the WX, Y, X, and then your Z completion, right? That would be basically how this would end up playing out if we don't get continuation above the presumed X here. And Z doesn't necessarily have to go to the lower part of the channel. It could hold on the upper part as well. But this is kind of the continuation, the completion of this move here. And overall, until really new money comes into Bitcoin, we can see how that plays out. And I think alts have held up definitely better than Bitcoin has, and showing a little bit more durability in these Bitcoin pullbacks here. So today's price action, the overall price action, because we're so spread here on our daily Bollingers, there is still running room to the upside, and even on the downside, still holding the overall higher low pattern for some time, okay, until we get some more of a meaningful correction. EMA 12 support on the daily, triple tested and holding. The spread, though, is still pretty wide, and EMA 26 support down at $7,800 and slowly rising. Sideways price action, declining volume. I just don't feel like bulls are really keen on getting ahead of their skis here. I think there's a lot of money still on the sidelines waiting for more of a meaningful correction. And so far, some of these pumps have just been sucked in, but some of the dumps have too. And when we normally have these dip and rips, this tends to be bullish price action. Okay, but that's just in the micro scheme of things here. We still have a ways to go just to even get back up to our most notable swing high. As you can see, now this is where we're set, and just this newest fib would put a good target of a lower high while still getting a little bit of a bullish price action here up to the just under 9K area, golden pocket, before finding that meaningful rejection and see how high we can go from there. That's all I got. All right, time for dinner. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. Much appreciated. You guys are awesome. Hope I can see you guys next time. Funk the Freak, Paul. There is Melissa Kirberlis, Bradbury 14, Antonio F, Handy Roms, and Killer Crypto Kelly. Much appreciated, you guys. Stay safe out there. Always set your stop losses. Still excited about 2020. Lots happening. Thank you for hanging out with me. Remember to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at Big Chonis. Talk to you soon. Peace.